At Amplify, we've eliminated all banking fees, so you can have a little extra to share the love. No fees equals more puppy love. Amplify.
Hello and welcome to the Women of Austin podcast. I'm your host, Mindy Hofman. This month marks the 10-year anniversary of TEDx Austin Women, Brave Starts Here. And with us today, we have two of the women who are instrumental in making it a huge success. Hello, ladies. Welcome.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited for this episode.
This is a treat.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Well, I always start with a warm-up question, so I wanted to ask both of you. We'll start with you, Lizzie. What is something that people would be surprised to know about you?
My name is Lizzie Velasquez, and I am from Austin, Texas. I am a motivational speaker and author. I was born and raised in Austin, and Austin will always hold a very, very special place in my heart. I have the great privilege of being able to travel the world, but being able to come back home to Austin to tell my story here is something that I take as a huge honor every single time I get the chance to do it. So to be here and to take this opportunity to share the things that I've learned while growing up here in Austin, it's very special to me. I think I surprised myself with learning this about myself, but I have a new obsession with needing everything to be organized, completely organized. And if it's not organized, I can't walk away until I fix it. And I've never been like that before, but now I have to make sure every drawer, cabinet, everything.
Oh, everything.
Everything is good to go. And if I know, obviously, someone's going to mess it up because it's life and you use it, but just the thought already that it's going to be moved bugs me.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, I bet your room's really neat.
It is.
In your
It
house.
is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Do you think the paint by number craze you got into
I think
participated with
I
that
think that's
organization style?
I think during quarantine, I started adult paint by numbers and became so obsessed
Brilliant
with it.
at it.
Oh.
I mean, it's
was.
just following the instructions.
Well,
But they look great. They
They
look
do look
great.
great.
It looks like I did a professional job at them, but I think doing that has led me to needing everything to be together and nice.
Well, maybe I should start doing some paint by numbers. I could get more organized.
It's so great. You keep your mind focused on just that. I think that's why I like organizing, because you just stop thinking about everything else and you're just focusing on one thing.
I like that.
good one.
Yeah. And Sara, what about you?
Hi, I'm Sara Hirsh Bordo, and I'm from Austin, Texas. I am a filmmaker and founder of Women Rising, which is a female empowerment production company. I'm proud to be a part of the Women at Austin podcast because it shows that storytelling is about leadership. It's about thought leadership. And so the fact that Mindy and her fantastic team are uniting women to tell stories and what they've learned about their lives in hopes of inspiring other women, it just allows Austin to be one more way at the head of the pack. I think that the characteristic or trait that would surprise maybe most people about me is that I am a total introvert.
That is surprising.
Yeah.
I'm like letting that sink in because
I'm what's called a non-shy introvert. Like, it doesn't frighten me to get up and, say hello to 100,000 people.
yeah.
But in a cocktail party where I have to small talk,
Yeah.
neither Lizzie nor I really like that. And I think that that's what has made me fall in love so much with this work is it's project-based in a very small, trusted group that gets to last for a long time if you're lucky.
Yeah. I like that. Thanks for sharing. Okay.
Good question, Mindy.
Now, I want to talk about TEDx Women. This is amazing. So Where did it start? At a kitchen table somewhere, or tell me?
Yeah. So it was in the fall of 2013, and a now very mutually wonderful friend of ours, Alexis Jones,
Love her.
called me on the phone when I was on vacation in Greece. And she and Elizabeth Gore, who at the time was entrepreneur in residence at United Nations, called, and both of them, born and raised Texans, called and said to me, "We have a proposal for you." And I was very nervous, but kind of excited. What a way to start a question. And they said, we've noticed that there's never been a TEDxWomen in Austin before, and we kind of want to make a go at it. And I said, well, how much time do we have? And they said, well, it happens all over the world in 3 months. And I said, so what are you asking me to do?
Oh, boy.
And they said, well, we need someone to direct and produce it. And I said, why are you asking me? And they said, we've heard you're the right kind of crazy to take on something that hasn't been done before in this short amount of time. And I was like, well, that does sound like me. And I said yes, and it was one of my favorite yeses I've ever said.
That's amazing. 3 months.
3 months. We
Wow.
didn't have a dollar, didn't have a venue, didn't have any talent, didn't have, we were literally starting from scratch, and we pulled it off in 90 days, and with the help of the mug of this beauty
Yes.
here,
Yes.
ended up, I think, being the biggest viewed TEDxWomen live and on demand in 220 cities around the world. It was
Yeah.
amazing and charmed.
That is so incredible. That is so incredible. And part of the reason that it was so incredible
Huge
was
part.
the success of Lizzie's talk. And if you can just tell us a little bit about that. And then I'd like to get back to if you guys knew each
Yeah.
other before. But first, Lizzie, you stole the show. Tell us more.
I don't think I stole the show. I feel like as a speaker, you don't often get to sit in the audience and watch everybody. And that day I was able to sit in the audience and watch from the first speaker until the speaker before I went on. And so when I'm listening to other people, I sort of take in what they're saying, and it sort of just becomes a part of me. And so I think that's part of the reason why when I went up on stage, decided after very detailed planning of what I was going to say, decided that I'm not going to say any of that, and I'm just going to go up and just pretend I'm talking to my best friend. And so I went up on stage and I just started talking, and honestly, that was my last speech of the year. I only do 1 or 2 speeches in December, and I knew that was my last one, and I knew when I went home that day I was going to put on my pajamas and order Chinese food. And that was it. And I was just going to call it a day. And little did I know, I did do those things, but little
You did
did I
have
know.
the Chinese food.
I did.
You did.
Oh, good.
I did. A few weeks later, that my whole world would be turned upside down in the best way possible.
That's amazing. Now, the video now I think has over 13 million views, if not more.
It's pretty crazy. I've been speaking professionally since 2007, 2008, but TED is the one speech that I'm still to this day recognized from, and I think it's really cool. And I think it's cool because I was just talking, and the fact that it resonated with people to the point where they now remember me all these years later is really cool.
Yeah. So you guys didn't know each other before, but now you guys are great friends.
It's weird to think that there was a time we didn't know each
Right.
other.
I agree.
It doesn't, I don't know. I don't feel like us meeting was like this. No, that sounds wrong.
I feel like it was more
It was
like,
like-
oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it just sort of fell into place. It wasn't like awkward or anything because
No.
we didn't really talk that much at the TED event itself because she was obviously so busy and doing all of the things. And then after we went to lunch and it was just us two, and we sat and we talked for hours just about everything and getting to know each other. And then everything sort of just took off from that lunch.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And then you guys ended up doing a film together.
Yeah. So I had never directed a film before. I'd never taken a film class. But kind of like with TED, the way that period of time was presenting itself, it was like one very carefully presented divine step after the next. Everything just felt very natural to walk in this direction that was a very big direction, and it was terrifying. I was at the time living with a tremendous amount of, why do I think I can do this? But I had woken up, I think about 2 months after the talk had gone up. And Lizzie and I had become good friends at that point, and we were watching as men, women, little girls, little boys, grandparents, people who had experienced the kind of bullying that Lizzie had, people that were the bullies. The way that it was igniting and sort of almost amplifying this conversation that was a little bit quiet at the time. I mean, sure, there were campaigns about anti-bullying, but I really believe it's because Lizzie said yes to telling her own story that all of a sudden it was like this tidal wave of awareness started coming in. And I genuinely woke up one morning and I said, I think I'm supposed to give the world more than 18 minutes of her. And I called you.
It's funny because around that time, there were so many decisions I had already made for what the next part of my life was going to be. And I think the biggest one was, my story has been out there for so long, and I've had so many different experiences with who I share it with and who I allow to share it with other people. And there have been really great experiences, but there have also been really not so great experiences to where it was more exploiting myself. And it got to a point where once I have a younger brother and sister that are both adults now as well, and it got to a point where we decided as a family that I was no longer going to say yes to any sort of type of documentary, reality, anything. And this conversation was had like maybe a month or so before Sara asked me about the documentary. And it was like a firm, I had come to terms with it. My whole family came to terms with it. And we decided together, because when I tell my story, it's not just me, it's my family, it's us. So we decide together whether we want to do this or not. And one of the things that I did tell Sara was I want my family to be a part of it. I just don't want them to be like, not actors. I don't, like, they are the story. They're not a part of the story. And so we had lunch, and I remember she called me, and you were driving to Dallas, I think, and you were like, listen, I've never done this before.
And there's no reason why you should say yes to me.
I don't know why, but I want to share your story more. And instantly I said yes. Instantly.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just knew it was one of those things where you just know, like, there's no hesitation or question. But I said, yes, I want to do it, but we need to talk to my parents about it, because we just had this whole conversation. And so I think it wasn't long after that we went to dinner and had margaritas, and we talked. And I remember going into my parents' room, because you hadn't met my mom.
No, just Lupe.
Just my dad.
Yeah.
And I remember going into their room, and I was like, so I got to tell you something. Do you remember when I did TED? Obviously, they remember. And you remember I told you about this girl, Sara? That's what I said. Remember I told you about this girl, Sara? That's what I said.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah.
Really, really selling me in.
Yeah. And I said, well, she has this this idea, and she wants to do this documentary, and I really want to do it. And my dad was more listening, and my mom was like, we agreed we weren't going to do this, blah, blah. And I said, just go
Meet her.
meet her, hear her out. That's all I ask. I don't want like a specific answer right now. Just be open to what she has to say. So we went, and as soon as we got back in the car, I didn't say anything, and they both looked at each other and they said, we're in. Like, this is, I get it. Like, this is right. And so it sort of just went from there.
At Amplify, we are getting rid of all banking fees, so you have a little extra to sprinkle around. No fees equals more sprinkles. Amplify.
Hi, my name is Mindy, and I'm the founder of Women of Austin. Today's episode is part 1 of a special 2-part series. We have 2 Austin women who have done some incredible things over the past decade, and we are going to dig in and hear about how it all started and what they're doing. So thank you for tuning in. Today we're shooting at Everly on South Lamar. If you've not been here, you need to come check it out. The space is beautiful and the food is incredible, and I hear the cocktails are pretty good too. I've watched it a couple times now, and it's so powerful, and I cannot believe that was your first film. It's unbelievable.
It really was.
It's
Mindy,
excellent.
it really was. Thank
Wow.
you. Well, thank you. Well, I think for me, my job was to kind of get out of the way and make her feel safe. And if I could make her feel safe, like I had tried to do at TED, then she could be her. Yeah. And that's what the world needed, was her. They didn't need gymnastics and fancy nonsense of filmmaking. They needed an authentic look at Lizzie and her relationship with her parents, and, you know, the absolute miracle that she is still here and thriving and strong, even though all she eats is fried food. And but the way in which she is here is so intentional. And I just think I just kept telling myself, just take care of her. If we take care of her, then everything will take care of itself. And I surrounded myself with people that I just wanted to learn from and be a student, but do what I do, which is basically just kind of operate from intuition. I still haven't taken a film class, and I'm just an intuitive kind of director.
I've never taken a speaking class.
How about that?
That's crazy.
How about that, world? You don't
never-
need organized education if you feel like you've got a talent or
teach
or
yourself.
an inkling of passion towards something. I think that overrides conformity and traditional nature of preparation. I think it can.
I think the safety thing is like a really big one, and feeling safe enough to be vulnerable was a really big thing. And so even when we were just talking about what we wanted the film to look like and what are some of the things that I really wanted, and I think it's always been the number one thing that I've said she did so beautifully, was I don't want it to just be about me. I want my story to be like this vehicle that we're driving, and as people are watching it, they're coming in with us. And it doesn't matter who they are or their age, but they've gone through, whether it's, you know, being the victim of a bully, being the bully, whether it's a parent who has a kids with
Special needs,
or what it's like from the brother and sister perspective, what it's like from the friend perspective. And it was something that was very, very important to me, because I felt like up until that point, I had just been talking about myself.
That's okay, yeah.
And I wanted to like talk about more. And I don't think I realized that me talking about myself was also talking about other people.
I think if the last couple of years have shown us anything, it's just the power of belonging. And Lizzie's and the entire Velasquez tribe that is so beautifully committed to belonging to one another, that is part of the safety that has given Lizzie a place to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
How about that? Do you like
Good.
that?
That was good answer.
Okay. Okay.
I agree.
I concur.
Lovely, lovely. Okay, so now you have the TEDx has happened, and
Yep.
then the documentary that was 2 years apart about.
No,
No.
actually, one.
What?
So
You were fast,
it was-
Sarah.
We did
I
both
shot
of you.
shot 4.5 months, edited for 4.5 months. So it was literally the length of a baby.
But even
and
before that, though, even before we started filming, we did Kickstarter.
yes. That was in April,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
which we started filming part of that
And
Yeah.
I did interviews every
with the
single
view,
day.
and it was
for a
a
month
machine.
straight.
We were on this incredible machine, but kind of 9 months from start to finish, which I don't have biological children, so I remembered when it came out, and then we were very proud to have won the Audience Award of South by.
Yes.
It all happened within just over a year from when Lizzie and I met.
I guess I've read that on paper, and I knew, but it's just it
It's so
couldn't
fast.
process.
Yeah.
And at
that
the
is so
time,
fast.
the folks around us, like Chris Roldan, the great Christopher Roldan, who was our editor, who had just come off of Boyhood, being one of the editors of Boyhood. And when we were moving this quickly and, accepted and to come and show in all these different festivals, and he just kept saying, I don't think you have any idea how rare the air is that y'all are in right now. And now looking back, it was like a romance novel. It was like, wow, it was so dreamy. And, to quote the great Taylor Swift, it was like a lavender haze. It was just like this magical blur.
Wow.
Yeah. I think what was really cool during that time was that once we really started digging into this whole thing,
Yeah.
Sara brought in a team of women of all ages that I had the privilege of being able to learn from and watch the things that they were doing. And we often shared hotel rooms when we were traveling, so I was able to listen to all the calls that she was on and hearing, like how much a song costs, when you need to use it. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Or about distribution. And
Right.
so I was able to learn everything.
You were learning while I was learning.
Yeah, we were learning together.
I didn't have the answers to
Yeah,
this
even
either.
with our crew when we were
Yeah.
filming, they were teaching me about sound. They let me hold the camera and do all of
Yeah.
these things. So it was a really cool
It was
experience.
a really fertile ground for all of us, but thank you for bringing that point up. I mean, my production company is called Women Rising because I had an experience that was the opposite of that when I was working in Los Angeles. And so I really wanted to be super intentional about women championing other women in the creative and storytelling space. And so our team of women that, we had more than 50% women as a part of the crew and the set, and that was early to kind of tackle. But I think for us, I just wanted to prove more examples, whether it was TED, whether it was our film, whether it was Women's March Later, that women can collaborate well, healthily, supporting one another, and it not be about competitive BS. That it was about all of us rising together
for a common goal.
for a common goal. And even it wasn't just for Lizzie, it was for what we all were doing together. It felt bigger than an individual, even though it right rightfully so, the film had Lizzie's name on it, obviously.
We were rarely in the same room. All of us. We were spread out all over the place.
Well, we had a lot of LA people, didn't we?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you still worked as a team. And
All the
felt
time.
like
Oh,
a
yeah.
team
All the
and,
time.
All the
family
time.
almost.
All day, all night.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Emailing
All
all
day,
hours
all
of the
night.
night. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Filming in the summer in Texas with no AC.
Oh, boy.
Or
For the
Mexico, or London,
Yeah.
or Spain, or DC, or LA, yeah.
Utah. We went
Salt Lake,
all
yeah.
over, yeah.
Park City, yeah.
Remind me, how many months you filmed this for?
4.5.
And you just, all those, and you probably left some places out? I'm tired just hearing about this.
A lot of it also
So
was,
fun.
That is amazing.
we were sort of juggling the two things at the same time, and we were able to combine them because we
Yeah.
did TED, and once TED went viral, I was invited to speak more than ever. And so we
A
were
lot of beautiful
filming.
integration with each other, don't you think?
Yeah. We were able to film a lot of the speaking, and I think that's one of my favorite parts of the film.
The
is
montage or
the
the whole-
montage
yeah.
of the traveling. I mean,
That was.
it looks
that-
like it looks so light and fun, but really it was so stressful. Like all the travel was so stressful and so exhausting.
Exhausting,
Just,
yeah.
everything was exhausting in general, but it was just so worth it.
Yeah.
And it just brought so many new experiences and lessons throughout the whole process.
Congratulations, you guys. That is so
Thanks, friend.
wonderful.
Congratulations to this baby, your birthday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I know I'm hearing some similarities. Like, oh, I've never done that before. Just kind of doing it just feels right.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, let's
Yeah.
just go.
Yeah,
See what
still to
happens.
this day on set, I was just doing a couple of things for Toyota and ESPN, and it's me and a whole bunch of dudes that have been doing this forever. And I just say from the top, there's a lot of this I don't know, and I'm going to be learning from all of you. And I happen to be directing this operation.
That's right.
And it's going to come from intuition, and let's just have a really good time. And thanks in advance for your patience as I figure it out along the way. And I've been doing this now 9 years. We're always learning, always.
Yeah.
Women of Austin would like to thank our community sponsors. Hot Works Austin Lakeline at Anderson Mill Road and FM 620. Dave's Ultimate Automotive. Visit davesultimateautomotive.com and become a part of the Dave's family today. Magic Robot, magicrobot.com. Elite Marquee and Events at Elite Marquee Austin. Well, let's take a little break, a 2-week break for our audience.
Okay.
But I could not just have you guys on for one episode. No.
Oh,
So thank you for
you,
watching
audience.
and listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe, right, guys?
Yes, like and subscribe and comment below.
Listen
your
to
favorite
Lizzie.
answer.
And we're gonna hear in 2 weeks. We're gonna hear what you guys have been up to in the. I think we covered about a year, so we got 9 years to cover on the
okay,
next
we'll talk
episode.
fast.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for joining us today on the Women of Austin podcast. A new episode premieres twice a month right here on the Women of Austin channel. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you never miss an episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at women_of_Austin. My name is Mindy Hofman. I hope you'll join us for our next episode of the Women of Austin podcast.
Light it up, light it up.